I don't know. I have a couple stuff today.
Yeah, me too. A few of them. And I'm already with them this early.
A lot. It's not like.
So with
Oh,
my
not
cover
today.
says in 24, in like 10 hours already.
We'll see. Like I have papers at 11 and I haven't started. So I'm not here.
Or is it different color, or because of what I said?
Okay. So yesterday you spoke about the contradiction that in one place it says that on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem designates every person what's going to be their lot for the year and how much they'll be able to earn during the year, how much food they'll have, and all their needs and sustenance. And in another place it says that a person is being judged every day. So in order to explain this, he explains what is the difference between the term that's used that Hashem writes down or judges us to have a good year, and then when it says that Hashem seals the judgment. Chasima. Ksiva b'chasima tova. What does it mean that he seals it? So he explains that every year on Rosh Hashanah, there's a new light that shines from Hashem to provide life and sustenance to the world. When we say the world, this means all the worlds. The physical world, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya, all the spheres, all the angels, all the neshamas, all the souls that are up there, everything in creation. And this happens on every Rosh Hashanah. And this is the source of life for the new year. However, on Rosh Hashanah itself, what is drawn down is a general light, a chayes kloli, general light. And then from there, it gets broken up into details, which means that the world of Atzilus gets what it needs, the world of Bria gets what it needs, and the needs of each world are different because there are different levels. And then in each world itself, there are neshamas, there are souls, there are angels, there are different creations that are there, the source for everything in this world. So the life of Hashem has to be broken down into all the details, providing life to each creation according to its needs. Then eventually, that line and that channel leads to this physical world. And the same is with us, that Hashem gives life to humans, to animals, to plants, to things that are inanimate. And in each group, there are hundreds and thousands of millions of details, the trillions of details, and Hashem has to give each one what's coming to them. And by reference to humans, the judgment is based on the way we conducted ourselves the previous year. So, so he said this process, the light of Hashem is broken up into details, also is a gradual process. First, the first sort of, the first stage where it gets broken up is with Hey Gvuras the Atik, the 5 Gvuras. Like we spoke about this yesterday, that in general, there are 5 channels, 5 groups, 5 different ways that things are broken up, like it is with the fingers, like it is with the letters of the alphabets, the Hey of Hashem's name, and the letters, the final letters of the alphabets, where we see in different places, it's the number 5 that breaks things down into details. But that's also very general. Then from there, like the alphabets, there are 5 gateways of the mouth, and through this, there are different letters of the alphabets that can manifest. So when Hashem created the world, he created the world with the 22 letters of the alphabets, which comes from these 5 channels. But then these letters of the alphabets were able to transform from one to the next through the combination of letters, through the gematria of letters. And as a result of that, we have the creation of millions and trillions and infinite things in the world, and each one has its own name, which means each creation of the world has different letters of the alphabets that give it life. So all those letters of the alphabets, they stem from the 22 letters. The 22 letters stem from the 5 that broke them up to details. But then it comes down to the furthest detail, which is, you can almost use the term infinite. Even though in this physical world, it's not really infinite, but it's, at least as far as we're concerned, there's no counting. This process of breaking things down to details is the chasima. That's what it means by sealing. And we'll soon explain why this is called to seal. Why is this called the signing off or the sealing off? So we're going here to page 145.
Rabbi, do you have a spare copy?
Yes, I do. Anyone else need a spare copy? This is one. There's one. Okay. It looks like you can all use a spare copy there. Okay. Yes. Send down a spare tire to that table there. So again, the Gashmias, when you write a contract, you write a document, it could be written up hundreds of words, but it's not final until you sign on it. Once you put your signature to it, that's when it's final. That's what chasima means, signature or seal. And therefore, it means that on Yom Kippur, there's something that's happening that's final. What is that? And how is it related to what we just spoke about, that it gets broken up to details? So let's start with the top of page 145. No, we'll stop with the top, with page 142, so that leads into this, 142. This is referred to as the seal or the signing off, the breaking up to the details. The fact that we get the life flow from Hashem, which comes from the 5 channels of chesed, that's etzem achayis kloli. It's really not broken down to details. So that's the general chayis, the general life force of Hashem. This is the new light that's being drawn into the world for this new year. This is Hashem's chesed, because this is light and life flow that Hashem is manifesting to provide us with life. So this is his chesed, giving us life, giving the world life. Now, page 145. As it says, Hashem sustains the entire world, the Tuvai with his goodness, the Chen with his grace, the Chesed and with his kindness. So this is Hashem's Chesed, and that's being drawn into the world. However, the Yos Chayis Kloli, being that this life force is still very general, and this is the life force that's the source of life for all the worlds. It doesn't yet have that division into details. When does it begin to get broken down and branching out to the details? Why they hate gevuras. These are the 5 gevuras that we spoke about. And then Nithin kitzva, the shira chesed, that creates a limit and a measure to the chesed, how much each creation will get. Kamal hazeh, the kamal hazeh. So first of all, being that there are 4 worlds, so naturally the life force that's flowing to Atzilus is so much greater than the Bria. And if that life flow would flow to Bria, Bria couldn't exist. So it has to be measured, this is for Atzilus. Then it's measured, this is for Bria. This is for Yetzirah. This is for this physical world. In the physical world itself, humans have to, their life flow is measured one way, animals is a different way, and plants are a different way. And within humans, every person is measured according to what they need to get. Ukamaymer azal, like the statement of our sages, the term that's used is kitsuvim loy. That's the Hebrew word, which means it's allotted, it's designated. But kitsuvim also comes from the word measurement or limit. Shekol echad yesh le kitzva umida kama shenimshech loy. Everyone has a specific measure, how much would be drawn to them. And that's why this is called the seal or the signing off. Why? Page 144. He's referring to, alluding to a pasuk in Megillah Esther that King Ahasuerus said that I can't withdraw the decree, I can't retract it, because once I sailed on it, once I put my sail to it, once I signed on it, this is irreversible. So what does it mean that once it's broken down to details, irreversible? Once the chayes gets broken down to details, it's irreversible. But before that, it could still be changed. That was before it's channeled in a specific channel, it's still at a point where you can, more light or more energy and more life force could be delivered to this direction and more could be delivered to that direction. And only after it's broken up, then it's limited. That's what I'll explain. And that's why it depends on tshuva. And we wait, Hashem waits till Yom Kippur. That's when Hashem breaks it up into details. And therefore, that's when things become sort of final. If a person will correct his deed, do tshuva, Ad Yom Kippur, Beis Neilas Hashorim, he will do it before the gates are closed. These are all metaphors, but gates are closed means also it's final. Now the door is closed. Now it's been signed off. It's been sealed, and there's nothing you can do about it. He'll get a larger portion of this chesed. Using the analogy we gave last time, we said, imagine water is coming to New York, and then it goes through a certain pipe. So in the physical analogy, that's not, you don't see that clearly. And it's a general rule to know. Many times people ask a question, you gave this in this analogy, and in the analogy, it doesn't really work that way. And the answer is that's true. Analogy never, ever is a perfect description of what goes on in the spiritual realm. And it can be, because there is nothing in this world that could be a perfect description, because that's Ruchnis and this is Gashmis. So any analogy that we use, even when we use the term light, that Hashem shines his light, and we're comparing it to a sun shining light. But if whoever studies enough Chassidus sees there are many analogies that are used to describe the sustenance and the life force that Hashem gives out. Not always is it light, there are different mishalim. And the reason is because each mashal can only bring out a different point. It's never complete. So when we're talking about Hashem giving us life force, giving us vitality, and Hashem decides that this person or this city or these people are going to get a certain bracha, that means that they're going to get more chesed. So in other words, the chesed that's there was already taken and it was already distributed in this direction. So before that happens, it's still pending. Hashem could take and send more chesed to this city and take less chesed to that city. More chesed to this person and less chesed to that person. there's a certain amount of chesed. Think of it that way, how much Hashem gives the world for this new year. So that chesed is distributed to different people. Think of it as lahavdil. You'd say, not lahavdil, but think of it as money, that someone has a certain amount of money, and he wants to distribute it to all the members of his family, all the employees in his place of work, all the people in the city. There's now funding available, $1 million, $1 billion. So how much is everybody going to get? Well, you have to apply, and depending on what your needs are, depending on what the proposal that you write, that's what you're going to get. So initially, it can go here, it can go there. One person can get $1,000, the other person gets $5,000, and someone else can end up getting $10. But once you designate it, in other words, you give it out, you get 10, you get 5, you get 100, you get 1,000. Okay, now it's gone. It was given away in a different direction. There's no more left. We only had a limited amount of money, and that limited amount of money, and that limited amount of money has already been directed in a different direction, and now we can switch it. It's a little bit like the story, pretty much the same with Esau and Yaakov. What happened in last week's parsha? Yitzchak said, "I already gave the brachas to Yaakov. Okay, let me see if I can find something for you." In other words, he had the ability to deliver brachas to Yaakov and to Esau. And he saw that, let's say 90% of the brachas already went to Yaakov. So I have 10% that I can give you. And the same thing here, there's an amount of chesed, and Hashem breaks up this chesed, and there's a different amount. But once it's broken up and delivered, then that's it. Then I got this chesed, that one got that chesed. I know we all think of Hashem, but he's infinite, and he can give as much as he can. That's true. But the way Hashem created the world and the way Hashem runs the world is with a system. And the system is, there's a certain amount of chesed per year, and that chesed is divided to the different worlds, to different people, to different creations, and breaking it down to a level that relates to us, that Hashem decides which person is going to get more, which is going to get less chesed. And once that's delivered to Reuven, this is delivered to Shimon, okay, at this point, now nothing, before it's broken up to details, I can say, please give me $1,000. But once it was already given away to me and to that one, to this one, to the other one, that's it. It's all the money that has been designated for this project is all given away. You have to wait till the next project, next year. So you can't change it. Are you following me, or it's confusing? No? Following, okay. Page 147. According to this, well, let me say the word Zel Pish Chasima. This is the meaning. It's been sealed. Shuv Ein L'Shanos. Now you can't change it because the Chesed has already been delivered to you. It's in your mailbox. It's in your mailbox. It's your account. Think of it as an account. The money was put into your account, in this person's bank account. Yes, I have to go there and take the money out, but it's already in my account, and the money is gone. The supply is gone, is already given away. That's what happens on Rosh Hashanah. Hashem gives it away, in a sense, to the details. Based on this, the question we asked before is even stronger. Why are we asking all these requests? Hashem, heal us, and we ask these, or give us parnasa, or help us in this way or in that way. How is this going to help, being that it's already been sealed? Which means Hashem already designated how much chesed I can get. And if the chesed is enough for me to have a healing, it'll happen. If it's enough for me to be able to buy a new house, it'll happen. And if it's not, it won't happen, and my davening won't help. It's already done deal for this year. The union is that even the chesed that has been designated to me, I still need to daven that I should get that chesed. What does it mean? Chesed is this chesed, which was already broken up. The niktzav mimenu chelik l'chavecha, then it was already designated to each individual creation how much chesed they're going to get. This chesed is still in a very high, lofty place. This is in a spiritual world, in Atzilus. Merumam, the Nizgov, Milo, Mashpos, Tovis, Gashmi, Shabela Maza. This chesed is exalted, is very far from us, and it's not something which could provide us with physical, material needs, which is Bani Chaim Ezayna, children, life, which means health and sustenance. All the physical things that are positive that we want for ourselves, these are physical things in the physical world, clothing and a home and food and whatever it is. That's not the chesed that's in Atzilus. In Atzilus is something spiritual. And something spiritual can provide me with these physical needs. The nature of chesed is lahetiv, is to give. So chesed is an attribute of giving, providing, giving hashpah. Just like with a person was a kind person, like Avraham Avinu. He was the epitome of kindness. So because he was kind, he was looking to find someone that he can help, that he can express his attribute of kindness. So even the day that he wasn't feeling well, and therefore Hashem made the hot sun, and there were no guests coming, he still wasn't resting. He was exploding with chesed. So he needed somewhere, someplace to express his chesed. He was looking for a recipient to give chesed. Chesed is really the source of life, the source of everything goodness. But the svagua madreges tevzeh, this chesed that is in Atzilus is too exalted that this should be translated into physical food and physical things for a physical person in the physical world. The kolam mamash chashiva l'mayla. All these physical things in the spiritual realm are insignificant. Vein derech lamshochas tov v'chesed gashmi min chesed elyon anal. So chesed up there, I mean, it's very hard to understand, imagine what this means, but think of it as a child, a little child. If you want to be kind to a little child, and you say, I'm going to explain you chapter 32 in Tanya like you never heard before, to a 5-year-old. You're wasting your time. But you want to be kind to him. You want to show him how much you love him. And this is really precious. This is something that you're going to explain that's very deep and very beautiful. It's true, but he can't appreciate it. Where is that? And there's a certain age in a child, even if you give him $10, $100, it's also not going to be appreciated. He doesn't understand what $100 means. In fact, there's a certain age that if you give him toys or you give him candies, it still won't appreciate it. And you give him a squeeze toy. He goes like this, makes a noise, smiles, and that's his world. Give him anything more complicated than that, he doesn't know what do you want from me? What are you bothering me for? You give him a squeeze toy, makes noise, you take a banana peel and you hang it like this, and his eyes and his mouth he's like mesmerized. Wow, this is amazing. So that means that when you're in that stage, the chesed, which is money, or the chesed which would be food, or the chesed which would be candies, or in a higher level chesed which would be something spiritual, doesn't relate. So the chesed of Atzilus doesn't relate to us. It doesn't spell out, it doesn't translate into a home, into clothing, into happiness, and into physical sustenance. All that doesn't, so it has to change. That energy of chesed has to change and become lower and closer to our realm of existence in order to provide us with the chesed that we need. Ella only, through manifold process of extension and enclothement, which means that the chesed of Atzilus goes through a process of tzimtzum. This chesed of Malchus Atzilus has to enclose itself in the garments of the chesed of the 10 spirits of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. He's using the analogy of garment, meaning like a light, that it's too bright and it's too blinding to benefit from it. So therefore, this light, I put a curtain blocking the light, and it's so bright and it's so brilliant, the light, that it shines through the curtain. But once it goes through the curtain, it's no longer blinding. Now I can handle it. It's like a person wearing sunglasses when the sun is shining. With the sunglasses, I could see. Without the sunglasses, the light of the sun would be blinding. So it goes through this process. Ad until Sheyiyeh Mashpos Chazda Inyonim Gashmim. Eventually, this chesed will become lower and lower and lower and lower until it becomes a chesed that can be translated into food, into clothing, into the things that we need here in this physical world. Yeshkam or Vakam Heicholas, but there are many Heicholas, which means chambers, through which the influence of chesed and atzilus must pass. So the chambers, these are sort of levels in the spiritual worlds. You usually don't come across where it talks about chambers. Most of the time it talks about spheres, talks about souls, but there is also something in each world which is called chambers. It's all connected to the spheres. But there are many levels, and it goes through until it reaches the world of Asiya. Liyos mimenu hashporis gashmi, page 148. Eventually, it translates into physical kindness and material influence. Shebe'ovrei mehechol lehechol, as the light of Hashem passes through and is processed from one chamber to the next chamber, misabash ba'osei, the influence takes on more material form. Initially, it's very abstract, spiritual, and only in the spiritual worlds can they relate to this as chesed. And then each world, it becomes more closer to the physical, until the esnimshach mimenu k'fi mailas hatev shebayisa heichel. Initially, it's good and it's chesed, but in each world and in each chamber, according to its standards, according to its definition. And the definition of good in Atzilus is not the definition of good in Bria. And the definition of good in Bria is not the definition of good in Asiyah. Think of it this way. When something happens, chas v'shalom, that's not good, what do we say? What does the Torah say? What does Chassidus say? That what is it, if a person loses money, is it a bracha or is it the opposite of a bracha? It's hashgacha. Okay. So the word hashgacha pratis means it's from Hashem. But is it something positive from Hashem, or is Hashem doing something negative to me? So one of the basic principles of Mun is, if it's coming from Hashem, first I have to believe it's hashgacha pratis. Once I believe it's hashgacha pratis, which is from Hashem, then I know that it's positive, it's a bracha. That's a bracha, that I lost money? The answer is, it is a bracha in disguise. It's a hidden bracha. If you look in Tanya, chapter 26, the Alter Rebbe says something incredible, and this is one of the principles throughout Chassidus. Not only this is a bracha, but it's actually a greater bracha than those brachas which are revealed. But I'd rather not have that. I'm asking Hashem, please, you want to give me a bracha? Please give it to me in a way that I could perceive it and I could feel it as a bracha. That's what we're asking for. The Rabbi always uses the term toiv hanira v'hanigla, which means revealed good, open good. So here we see an example of something which is chesed. In fact, it's even a higher chesed than when I earn money, but it's not the kind of chesed that we can appreciate here in this physical world. We have to struggle and work very hard to tell ourselves that this is really a positive thing. And we're also thinking in terms that it's positive, and eventually it will see it positive in a physical way. So it has to go through this energy of chesed, keeps transforming and changing and going from stage to stage until it could become chesed in this physical world. Usually when you give a bracha, is a term, it's in the davening, which says you should be blessed with children, life, and sustenance. But the reality is that these three terms, in essence, they include all kinds of good that can be in this world. Some belong to Banei, some are under the category of Chaye, and some are in the category of Mezonei. In other words, there's sustenance in many different levels. And when you talk about children, it could mean anything that is something that I produced, that I did, that I created. And same thing with Chaya, which is life, means health in every way, in every detail possible. So really, it includes all the brachas, but all these brachas are enjoying the brachas in this physical world. So now we come to answer the question, the original contradiction, page 151. This is the saying of Razal, a person is judged every day. Which means even if Hashem already ruled on Rosh Hashanah that this person is getting a ton of chesed, I still need to be judged again. What's the judgment? Every day there's another judgment. Is the person sort of worthy? It's not a judgment whether you should get chesed. You already got in your bank account, your spiritual bank account, you have a ton of chesed. Now there's a judgment. Should Hashem take that chesed and transform it and translate it into food, clothing, and all the physical needs that you want? This is another process, that this chesed has to evolve from level to level until it's mislabish and closed in this physical world. And therefore, there's a question, should Hashem do this process? So the heavenly court examines a person's deeds to see if he's worthy of it. If he's, God forbid, not worthy, then the chesed that was designated to him, that ton of chesed, could remain in the spiritual realm. In other words, not taken away from him, but it's in the spiritual realm. And therefore, this will give him tremendous amount of good in a spiritual level for his neshama. But he physically down here won't benefit from that chesed. And therefore, when we daven, when we're saying, Rafa'enu, Hashem, please heal the person that's sick. Baruch Aleinu, please bless us with sustenance. What we're asking for is that this chesed, which is already there, it should be translated and transformed into the Gashmizik world. Mashadam tzarech, which is the person's need. And we're begging Hashem, lo yishar l'mayla l'gamri. It shouldn't just remain up there in the spiritual realm. Ki im yishar l'mayla, page 150. If this chesed would remain in the spiritual realm and wouldn't descend lower, lo yiloi toiv ba'olam hazeh klum. It wouldn't bring him good in this physical world. It would bring him good in the spiritual realm, and something spiritual is happening to him, which is very good, but not something which is going to change the physical, and therefore I won't be able to appreciate it here in this physical world. So the truth is, there's more judgment involving what I just said. In fact, it says that every Rosh Chodesh is like a miniature Rosh Hashanah. In fact, there are people, years ago it was much more common, now it's not so common, that they would fast every Erev Rosh Chodesh, and it was considered like, it was called Yom Kippur, it still is called, it's called Yom Kippur Katan, which means a miniature Yom Kippur. Why is that? Because let's say Hashem designated, thank you, let's say Hashem designated that on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem designated that this and this person this year will receive a gift of $10,000. So like I said the other day, it's not just designated, but Hashem also designated when. It's going to happen in the month of Shvat, on the third day of Shvat, during the day, in the afternoon. So what's happening from Rosh Hashanah until the third day of Shvat? Where's this bracha, chesed? What is it doing? It's just hovering over the person's head. So the answer is, it's being processed. It's like saying, if I decided to give you a gift and that you should have a beautiful tree in your garden, I take seeds, I plant it in the garden, and this year you're going to have a beautiful tree. So where is it? Wait. What do you mean wait? I waited yesterday, the day after. It takes time for it to grow. What's growing? I don't see anything happening. I just see earth. I saw earth yesterday. I see earth today. Wait. After a while, suddenly something sprouts out of the ground, gets bigger, bigger, bigger. Eventually, you have the tree. So this is what's happening spiritually. When Hashem designates on Rosh Hashanah that this person is going to have $10,000, or is going to buy a house, or is going to buy a car, or is going to get certain clothing, or another bracha, have a child, get married, on this and this day of the year, the bracha already begins flowing on Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Kippur, and now it's descending. at the end of the month, it has to be translated to a lower level, coming closer to the physical world. So there's a judgment. Should this life force continue to flow and make the change to the next world? And if Hashem judges yes, so now it continues to flow. In fact, it makes a new change that is going from one level to the next level. And then the next month again. Then when it comes to the day of the month of Shvat, then we know that in 10 days it's supposed to happen. Every single day a person's judged. And in fact, even the day that it's supposed to happen, that means it's already very close to the physical. It's already been transformed for 4 months or 5 months, and now it's 5 months and 6 days, which means it's ready to happen, but it won't happen until Hashem judges that now it should be transformed from the spiritual to the physical, to the mamish, the gashmizdika level. And then when Hashem gives that ruling, so what do I need to do for that? I daven. That's why I'm davening today. Not that Hashem should give me the chesed. He already gave me the chesed. Today I'm davening at the chesed which He already gave me should be translated in health, in money, or whatever it is that I need today. That's the difference. Remember the story that I told you with Rabbi Akiva's daughter, the famous story with the tzedakah. So in that story, what do we see? That was supposed to be the last day of her life. And there was a snake that was already in her house. That means that whatever, in that case, was unfortunately the opposite of chesed, a negative event. So there was also a ruling from Hashem, and there was life energy from Hashem that was sort of responsible for this to happen. But it came to a point where it already descended to the physical world. It didn't happen yet, but it's already happening in the physical realm. The snake is already there, and the snake is already coming to her house. And the last minute, because she did tzedakah, it was aborted. The process was stopped. And nothing happened here in the physical world. So the same thing could also be in the reverse. Which means that sometimes a person doesn't realize they need something. Their bracha is already there. But the bracha is just not descending, it's not translating in the physical realm. So I don't have to create a bracha. What I need to do is find a way, how do I bring the bracha down and translate it begashmius? Let's continue page 150. On this basis, we can now reconcile the two quotes, which look like they were contradicting each other. One quote where the sages say, that a person's livelihood is already designated from between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That means the person already has a certain amount of chesed, a certain measured amount of chesed that was specifically designated for that particular person. There's many different kinds of good things that could be sort of manifest through this chesed. So every day there's a judgment. The chesed of Hashem that's meant to bring me goodness in a physical way on Sunday has to be judged on Sunday, should it come down in the physical. And that's why there's judgment every day, and that's why tefillah helps every day. So then one can ask a question, so why do I need to daven so much on Rosh Hashanah? Why do we make such a commotion of Rosh Hashanah if anyway I have to daven every day? And the answer is because Rosh Hashanah is a day that Hashem designates how much you're going to get. That's when it all starts. That's when Hashem plants the seeds. So I'm praying on Rosh Hashanah that Hashem should give me not a ton of chesed, but 100 tons of chesed. And then there'll be enough for everything that I need. After I get that bracha, I still need another bracha that the chesed that I got should continue to descend and translate into physical needs that I have. Then he's going to explain, even in terms of physical needs, there are different needs. I need food, I need clothing, I need all the brachas that a person needs begashmis. So what's the chesed going to go for? For food, for clothing, for health? Some people have a lot of money. Unfortunately, they don't have health. Some people have good health, but they don't have any money. Some people have both, They don't have any children. Some people have all three, but they don't have something else that they need. So when it translates, even if it translates begashmis, how does it translate? So there too, there's a system. And we'll still see that this also has to do with our tefillah. To be continued. Okay, we'll stop here. This is Gimel. This is the third, where we've come to the third chapter in the Maimer. Yep. Okay. Thank you for your services.